Welcome everyone to the SERL American Ethanol Series Season 2 Race 6 at Hillside, where we have 42 drivers ready to take on this 1 mile racetrack that acts a lot like a super speedway. The reason why I say that is because of the track's unheard of 36 degrees of banking in the turns and 12 degrees in the straightaways. It That's how we get that super speedway type racing. And but the thing is, it's not just that. This race was by far, or at least in my opinion, one of the most memorable races of all of the SERL Season 1. Mainly because, for its time, there were a lot of cautions, 4 cautions. Now, looking back on that race, it is not the most cautions we've ever had in a single SERL event, but what made those 4 cautions different than others is that it had a total of 27 DNFs. I don't think that is like the most DNFs we've had in a race, but it is one of the most. And this race was also notorious for having that incredibly close finish. It was 0.015 of a second, which I believe is 15 one-thousandths of a second between Garrett Sidnor and Nick Smith. Sorry. And those were 2 drivers that were able to keep their nose clean all day, and that's what you have to do. Whether you start in the rear or start up in the front, you gotta stay out of trouble. And I feel like it doesn't matter whether you start in the rear or start in the front. Trouble can brew from anywhere. We saw that a season ago, if you remember or go watch that race. But anyway, so last week at Memphis was just a wild short track race. There were a couple drivers that did stumble, and there were many drivers that were gonna have good finishes until late race scenarios didn't play in their favor. But at the end of the day, our winner was Andrew Gorman. He did not lead every single lap. In fact, he almost lost the race from the 20 of paying keys, but got the lead back on the last restart, and the race ended under caution. So now Andrew Gorman comes into this race 8th in points, and the points leader is still Jonas Maps Jr. But the thing is, he's not the points leader, or the only points leader. It's actually a tie for first place between him and the 15 of Dale Scott. And as you can see, Dale Scott starts on the pole. So this could be a pretty good opportunity for Dale Scott to take this points lead. But when I look at, like, the top 5 in points are only separated by 8 points, and the top 10 points are only separated by 23 points. So the points leader could be someone from 10th place, or maybe a little bit beyond that. So we'll just have to see. But anyway, I think we should be in for another great race that could have maybe another close finish. We'll just have to see. But now let's get the cars rolling off. The thing to know and remember is that if you remember or watched last season's race at Hillside, the race was 45 laps. This time it's only 35, so that might make some drivers maybe push the limits even more. But anyway, here is where you qualify, and you might need to pause the video. But the thing is, these qualifying positions are not going to matter very much longer, because the thing is, like NASCAR in the Dominus PT Truck Series, we should see different leaders almost every single lap, maybe, depending on how long our green flag runs are. But anyway, the green flag is out. Dale Scott gets a great restart, but here comes Torndeer in the 44 right behind him. And because I think we'll have so many different leaders, I'm gonna keep this bar. I'm gonna keep that a running order on the side of the screen. But anyway, here, Crafton, he leads the first lap here in a 3-wide situation. Wow. Charles Belling, Riley Smith, are here. The former points leader. Oh, Johnny Mills, Jim Kelly. Okay, this seems to have formed on the backstretch. What am I guessing here? Are they giving each other enough room? Hello? What are we doing? Okay, that was close and a little mysterious. So, Cliff Crafton, this is good for him. He's gonna lead all of these caution laps. And that's good, because the thing is, when we get back racing, he's probably going to lose the lead, just because, like I said, I just think that we're going to see like different leaders almost every single lap, and we did see a lot of that a season ago. But let's take a look and see what happened coming off of turn number 2 and onto the backstretch. Multiple accidents formed coming off of turn number 2, and the first one that we're going to show you right here is Riley Smith and Hurley Haywood. They were the first 2 to make contact right here, And when they got hooked, this caused Riley Smith to go down in front of O'Neal Baldwin here, which caused his car to spin at an incredibly fast rate. Like you can't see it here because we are on super slow motion. But right here, look at everyone here that has to get through all this. It was amazing that we did not have more cars involved. I mean, Garrett Sinor really did not have almost like anywhere to go, so that could cause him to go out of the race. But for the most part, in this section or in this particular crash, it was amazing that Moore didn't get involved. But for Riley Smith, not not the way he wanted his day to start, and it looks like that he might continue to fall in the points if he cannot recover. But anyway, now let's show you what happened behind them, because you might have seen John Martin and Johnny Mills made some contact or make some contact. So the accident with Johnny Mills and John Martin here. So they did almost the exact same thing as Riley Smith and Hurley Haywood did, and that caused them to go down to the apron right here. And once you're on the apron, you're pretty much helpless right here. And right behind them, Aiden Saunders and Nick Smith actually almost wrecked as well. Jim Kelly just had nowhere to go, and I think Arch Hassan got some damage. Yeah, he did. He clipped Jim Kelly. Ben Goldberg also might have received some slight damage. He hit like the rear of Jim Kelly ever so slightly, but like like the Riley Smith and Hurley Haywood situation, this could have been a lot more worse, especially since all of this was happening towards the middle of the pack. But anyway, now let's go on board someone. A lot could happen once we go back to the green flag, but Cameron Blake did a very nice job of avoiding this, and for a rookie driver, this is very impressive. Like Cameron Blake in the 84, Ben Goldberg in the number 3 comes into this race pretty high in points, and this was he might have received some slight damage on the left front, but it really could have been a lot more worse. Johnny Mills is the only driver that, as of right now, is out of the race. Riley Smith, Jim Kelly, and Charles Billion are still on pit road trying to get their cars fixed, but I think some of them may not ever be able to come back out again. And with other drivers getting some slight damage, you have to think that some of those drivers are going to be like slower cars. So it'll just be interesting once we go back to green. I think that, like we saw yesterday at NASCAR in the Domino's Pizza Truck Series race, I think we could have a couple of early cautions and not even get like a lap in. But then after that, things should calm down and we should be able to get a long green flag run. It was like that a season ago. But anyway, coming out of turn number 4, Club Crafton leads them back to the green flag. Leading all those caution ups is really going to help Club Crafton clinch most up sled. But we still have a long way to go. We are just now 1/5 of the race through, or almost 1/5. But wait, now here comes Phil Goldberg in the 18, looking to get past and lead a lap. Phil Goldberg comes in his race 14 points, so he's kind of a little bit of like he's kind of like a sleeper. And right behind him, and we have another caution. See, this is what I was talking about. Cameron Blake in the 84. He avoided that last crash, but apparently not this one that just happened. Austin Kennedy, Evan DePaula. And that looks like it happened in the exact same spot coming out of turn number 2. That could be the trouble spot today. It was kind of the trouble spot a season ago. Let's take a look and see what happened. Pretty much the exact same thing that caused the couple of accidents we saw. The last caution, Austin Kennedy and Cameron Blake are here hooked together, and then Evan DePaula just has nowhere to go. And all the drivers here take pretty hard looks. Well, Evan DePaula takes a really hard look into the outside wall, and just like the last caution, I can't believe how many drivers were able to miss that once again. So great driving by everyone who did. And then Austin Kennedy here hits Cameron Blake again, and with the damage beyond the hood, that could maybe end his day. But for the most part, because it was almost like the exact same crash, I don't feel the need to show an instant replay. So now let's take you back to the green flag. After this crash, once again, still no DNFs, and apparently, I guess Johnny Mills actually is not out of the race. But to me, this could be the same thing like Daytona, where it's like they just like stay on pit road for the rest of the race, don't pull behind the wall. But anyway, no, after that crash, we'll be going back to green flag right here, and so pretty much at this point we were pretty much almost repeating the same pattern we had last season, where we had a couple of early cautions and then things should calm down. But we'll just have to see. But anyway, now Philip Goldberg, he leads us back to the green flag. Last season, it was very hard for someone to maintain the lead, especially in the early portion of the race. But then later on, some drivers were able to get a good grip of this racetrack, like Garrett Sidnor, or Austin Delgado, or Nick Smith. But anyway, now just Balabasina moves into third, but it looks like Phil Goldberg, it looks like he will maintain the lead, and if he can lead for a couple laps, I think he could be in a very great position to lead the most laps by the time we get past halfway and beyond. But anyway, and now we have another caution here. What is it for? Oh my god. Oh, Jacob Reed upside down. Hey, more drivers? No, but it just looks like it's Jacob Reed. But man, what happened right there? Okay, so this time it happened entering turn in the middle of turns 3 and 4. So let's take a look and see what happened to Jacob Reed as he experienced a very wild ride. How could you describe this crash? Just crazy. That's just it. It was just a very crazy crash, but there was a crash similar to this a season ago, so it's kind of not like anything like new. But anyway, so Jacob Reed and Kendall Maynor here got together, and that was kind of an aggressive way, so Jacob Reed may not be as happy as some of the other drivers that got clipped. But anyway, Jacob Reed here, he just comes back across the racetrack here. Andrew Gorman almost gets collected, and Ian Saunders has nowhere to go. But then right here, the crash gets even worse. Ryan Casey gets a piece of it when Austin Miguel just hammers Jacob Reed, and Evan Paula and Cameron Blake also got some slight damage. But Jacob Reed here, oops, he just goes over and over. Let's show you that flipping in real time, or that crash in real time from this angle. I hope Jacob Reed and everyone else involved is okay because that was an extremely violent crash. Normally, I would think of this view during a crash as a fun view to watch, but in this case, it is not fun to watch. Breaking news for our leader, Philip Goldberg has an engine failure while leading under caution, and that is going to take him out of the event. So such a shame for Philip Goldberg in the ATA. It looked like he was destined to have a really good points day. But anyway, everyone on this list except the 3 drivers that I mentioned earlier and Ryan Casey are now officially out of the race. And here is where everyone else will restart. But just a tough break for Philip Goldberg overall. I think I said this at the beginning of the season. Engine failures are now turned on, and it looks like this is the first time an engine failure has taken a major contender out of the race. But now Club Crafton now leads. Right behind him is the 60 of Justin Delampus, and if you remember last week, whoa my goodness, here, well that was close. If you remember, not last week, if you remember yesterday in the Downus Pete Truxies race, Luke Walker became the first 2-time winner of that season. Can Justin Delamas be the first 2-time winner of this series? And now we have another caution. And frankly, good time for Justin Delamas to be leading. Jonas Maps Jr., the points leader. Oh no. No, that's not good. And it looks like Alan Gray may also have some damage. And maybe the same for Bruno Kedjog. But for Jonas Maps Jr., it looks like that he will be the points leader no more after today. Our points leader was running inside the top 10, but when Bick Crafton and Blaine Keys made contact, that caused Bick Crafton to go back up across the racetrack into Jonas Maps Jr. and Bruno Ketchuk and had nowhere to go. But once again, so many drivers did an incredible job right here to avoid this crash, and Alan Gray, he was an exception. But with our points leader, it looks like his day will be over. Now let's take you back to the green flag. I think it's safe to say that from that everyone from Brunk Hedgehog to Charles Billings is now officially out of the race. And also, we just had another engine failure. Hurley Haywood in the number 2. I don't remember where he was running on the racetrack, but he wasn't involved in our most recent caution. I don't believe so. So once again, another tough break for Hurley Haywood, who won Atlanta, and it looked like that could help him become an early champion favorite, but it just hasn't happened yet. Anyway, Justin Thomas leads us back. Here comes Daniel Boyles in the 33 with the help of Cleb Crafton. Daniel Boyles and Cleb Crafton are two drivers that have kind of been, I would say, a little like under the radar. More so Daniel Boyles. But so far, this is a very good run for both of these drivers. And the way things are going, Justin Thomas, he could be our points leader. And now it looks like that. For the first time today, we actually get through a full lap without a caution. And now Cleb Crafton here, he's in the leader. I think it's safe to say that with Philip Goldberg out of the race, Cleb Crafton is going to be credited with most laps led, but I don't think it's official yet, as Justin Galapis is going to get the lead back. Right behind Justin Galapis, you have his teammate right behind him, Matt Hoskins in the 16. Matt Hoskins in the 16, he's also a little bit under the radar as well, as he comes into this race 13th in points. I think, depending on how the finishing results go, I think our points leader will either be Justin Galapis or Dale Scott, depending on how things go. But now as Matt Hoskins leads a lap, and right behind this pack, we now have Kendall Minor coming into the mix, so is John Martin. Oops. But anyway, now here comes Dale Scott, here comes Vic Crafton as well into the mix here. And I feel like now this is where, now that we're on a green flag run, I think this is where we see our comers and goers. But anyway, well, my guess, Kendall Minor or John Martin. Okay, that's kind of a little too close here. And now here comes a battle for the lead. Dale Scott with the help of Vic Crafton goes to the lead here, but here comes Vic Crafton in the 62. I think he's gonna look under, and yes, he will. John Martin following Vic Crafton. Daniel Boyles in the 33 is now all going to 22. Well, oh my God, Dale Scott here, back in Justin Lawless here. Oh my goodness, huge crash. Justin Lawless here, upside down. Randy O'Neal, I think, also involved. Oh my goodness. That all started when, I believe, like, Cleb Crafton, I don't know who it was. Oh, Connor Breen also involved as well. I think it was Cleb Crafton, and was it? No, it wasn't John Martin. It was someone else. It might have been Kendall Waynor in the 70. I don't know. I don't exactly remember. But the thing is, when I panned over to that TV2 camera, I thought, wait a second, something is going to happen. And just such a tough break for a couple of drivers that were running super well, like Cleb Crafton and Justin Galapis, who a couple laps ago were actually up front battling for the lead, and that just goes to show you, like, and that just goes to show you the comers and goers. But now our leader of the race is John Martin. He's in a pretty good position to get his first win, because I think when we restart, it should be like a lap or two to go. But let's just get a replay of this insane and just terrible crash for some of these drivers. If you remember last week, Dean Orton was running up front and he got clipped by John Martin and he went for a wild ride. Now Dean Orton is the driver who clipped Cleb Crafton, and it wasn't just him who went for a wild ride, it was a couple of others. But as you can see, Dean Orton is the red car behind the light and blue car. And those two just make contact right here, and then they go on the apron here, and then Cleb Crafton just comes right back in front of Justin Galapis. Just nowhere for him to go, and then the same for Randy O'Neal. Then Connor Breen in the 4 just has nowhere to go, hits Randy O'Neal, which then causes Justin Galapis to just go for a wild ride. He just flips over and over and over. And for Justin Galapis, which looked like he was going to have a good point stay going, now all of a sudden he's just not going to have it. But anyway, now let's go on board a couple of drivers. Let's see if Blaine Keys got through it, or let's see if he got some slight damage. Wow. Impressive by Blaine Keys. Let's go on board the rear of Cleb Crafton, as he is just going to have a face full of Justin Galapis in just a few seconds. everyone from Connor Breeden, who's 27th, to Charles Bellamy is now officially out of the race. Clive Crafton is the last driver on the lead lap, and we are just going to get a restart with just 2 laps to go. And there are many drivers that have the potential to get a first point. In fact, I believe everyone inside the top 10 hasn't won a race so far this season, so it looks like that we are definitely going to have a new win after today. Anyway, pace car now pulls down pit road. John Martin, he has been able to avoid everything. I think he started in the middle of the pack, which makes it even more impressive. But anyway, he leads us back to the green flagger here. What he would like to see is a caution, like right now. But here comes Matt Hoskins in the 16. Here he comes. He goes to the inside. That might have just been the winning move of the race. But right behind him, we have Biff Crafton in the 62. Can Biff Crafton do anything? It just depends. The white flag is now up in the air. Okay, the next flag will end the race. But here comes Bill Crafton here in the 62. He goes to the bottom and Matt Hoskins. But here comes Dale Scott in the 15. Can Dale Scott make a move? Oh my god, here we go. Dale Scott looks like we might be in for no photo finish. Here we go to the bottom. Here comes Dale Scott in the 15. It's not going to be enough. Bill Crafton in the 62 wins at Hillside. Oh my goodness, what another pretty close finish. It wasn't as close as a season ago, but still pretty close. Biff Crafton, a driver that all of a sudden we weren't talking about him as a driver who could take this thing until the very end. I don't remember where he started, but nevertheless, no matter where he started, it is just an impressive run right here for him in the 62. He comes into this weekend 20th points, and he will definitely gain quite a bit of positions. So maybe this can help him turn. So maybe this one will help him turn things around. But anyway, now let's just show you our finishing results. So our top 10 are Biff Crafton, Dale Scott, Matt Hoskins, John Martin, Kendall Maynor, Daniel Voiles, Cameron Garlington, William Bedford, Tony Valerio, Torrin Dieter. That is your top 10. So I think it's pretty obvious with Dale Scott coming into this race second in points that he is going to be the points leader. And with drivers like Jonas Maps Jr., Cameron Blake, Riley Smith, Justin Delapas, and a couple others high in points having struggles, that Dale Scott, he might have a pretty big margin when we go to actually, once again, I don't know where we were going. I'll have to check that when I do the Hot Wheels Cup Series race. But anyway, here is where everyone else finished, and right behind here, I think even if you are marked as like 16 laps down or 35 laps down, I think because you really did not get back on the racetrack, you can just be considered out. But anyway, this is a lot of DNFs. I think this might be the most amount of DNFs we've had so far this season. I believe. I'm not exactly sure because I can't exactly remember. But there were some heartbreakers here, like Justin Talabas, who DNF'd, Clive Crafton, who did move up a couple of positions, but still not the day that he wanted. And just a couple of like others, like Philip Goldberg. He was the leader and had an engine failure, and Hurley Haywood was the other engine failure as well. So just overall, not the day that many drivers wanted to have. But anyway, tomorrow for the Hot Wheels Cup Series event, we are sort of going back in time. We are going to Sonoma, but the thing is, we're going back to its 2000 layout, which back then it was called Sears Point. And one of the differences of the 2000 version is that like turns 4 and turn 7, they're not as sharp turns as they are. And if you don't remember, you might want to look at like a map before before that race is finished uploading, so that way you can get a better idea, or you can just wait for that video to be uploaded so you can get a better idea. That mod also has the famous skill against Island, which I think if you don't know what I'm talking about, you might want to research that as well. But anyway, I would like to thank everyone for watching this race. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and buy. Congrats to Biff Crafton.